Based on biblical narratives, historical significance, and the scale of miracles performed, the four most powerful prophets in the Bible often considered to be Moses, Elijah, Isaiah and Jeremiah. Moses led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, parted the Red Sea, and received the Ten Commandments from God on Mount Sinai. As a prophet and leader, he guided the Israelites through the wilderness for 40 years, served as a mediator, and established religious laws. Key actions and roles of Moses in the Bible include leading the Exodus, called by God through a burning bush. Moses confronted Pharaoh and brought the 10 plagues upon Egypt to free the Israelites. Parting the Red Sea. Enabled by God, Moses parted the sea to allow the Israelites to escape the Egyptian army. Receiving the law. On Mount Sinai, he received the 10 Commandments and instructions for the tabernacle, which served as the foundation for the Israelite community. Mediator and leader. He mediated between God and the Israelites, interceding for them when they disobeyed, and guiding them during their 40-year wandering in the desert. Establishing covenant. He established the covenant and the religious laws, Torah, for the nation of Israel. Elijah was a major Old Testament prophet who confronted idolatry in Israel during King Ahab and Queen Jezebel's reign. Known for miracles and boldness, he declared a 3.5-year drought, called down fire on Mount Carmel to prove God's power, fed a widow miraculously, and was taken to heaven alive in a chariot of fire. Key acts and miracles of Elijah. Proclaimed drought. He announced a severe drought in Israel as punishment for idol worship. Miraculous provision. Fed by ravens and later sustained a widow with an unending supply of flour and oil. Resurrection. Raised the widow of Zarephath's son from the dead. Showdown at Mount Carmel. Challenged 450 prophets of Baal, calling down fire from heaven to consume his sacrifice. Anointed successor. Commissioned by God to appoint Elisha as his successor. Escaped Jezebel. Fled to Mount Horeb where he experienced God in a gentle whisper. Taken to heaven. Instead of dying, he was taken to heaven alive in a chariot of fire. Isaiah was a major prophet in the 8th century BC who served in Judah, proclaiming messages of divine judgment against corruption and idolatry, while offering hope through prophecies of a future Messiah. He famously accepted his calling in a temple vision, served as an advisor to King Hezekiah, and is renowned for his extensive prophecies about Jesus Christ's birth, life, and suffering. Key actions of Isaiah in the Bible. Prophesied in Judah. Isaiah ministered for over 50 years, approximately 746–90 BC, during the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, encouraging trust in God during times of Assyrian threat. Accepted his calling. After a vision of God in the temple, Isaiah chapter 6, where he felt unworthy due to unclean lips, a seraphim touched his mouth with a burning coal, prompting his response, "Here am I, send me." Advised kings. He directly challenged King Ahaz to trust God rather than foreign alliances and later served as a key advisor to King Hezekiah, encouraging him when Assyria besieged Jerusalem. Predicted the Messiah. Often called the Fifth Gospel, his book contains detailed prophecies regarding Jesus Christ, including the virgin birth, Emmanuel, 7:14, his ministry, and his role as the suffering servant who dies for sins, 53, 1–12. Preached judgment and hope. He warned that Judah's disobedience would lead to exile by Babylon, but he also promised a remnant would return and that God would establish a righteous kingdom. Jeremiah, known as the Weeping Prophet, was an Old Testament prophet called by God to warn the kingdom of Judah about impending destruction by Babylon due to their idolatry and injustice. He preached for over 40 years, urging repentance, enduring severe persecution, witnessing the fall of Jerusalem, and prophesying the future 70-year Babylonian exile. Key actions and roles of Jeremiah in the Bible include prophesying judgment. He warned that Judah's broken covenant would lead to the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, a message that made him highly unpopular with kings, priests, and the people. The Weeping Prophet. Jeremiah deeply mourned the sins and unavoidable suffering of his people. He was forbidden by God from marrying, symbolizing the loneliness of his calling and the grim future. Enduring persecution. For his unpopular messages, Jeremiah was beaten, put in stocks, thrown into a muddy cistern, and accused of being a traitor. Promoting hope. Despite proclaiming doom, he was also tasked with sharing messages of hope, including the promise of a new covenant and the eventual return of the people from exile. Recording prophecies. He employed a scribe named Baruch to write down his prophecies on a scroll, which were later read to the public and King Jehoiakim, who burned them. Refusing exile to Egypt. After Jerusalem fell, he he was forced by a group of rebels to go to Egypt, where he continued to speak for God.